Hello folks, and welcome back to another Premier League predictions. There hasn't been any videos the last couple of weeks because I went down with a bad case of man flu, losing my voice. So I ended up having my first sick days in 12, 13 years, and my voice still isn't quite right. So let's begin. Saturday the 21st, which is 2 days from today, and the early kickoff is Liverpool versus Swansea. And Swansea have their relatively new manager. Well, he's a new manager, but he's not inexperienced. Paul Clement, who came over from Bayern Munich. And this is the early kickoff on Saturday. Liverpool had a fairly decent result last weekend. An away draw to Man United. And a much changed team got a 1-0 win during the week away to Plymouth in the FA Cup. So they've got a very good home record this season: 7 wins, 2 draws, no defeats. Nice healthy goal difference of 19 from 9 games. And Swansea are currently bottom. They've got 10 away games, 2 wins, a draw and 7 defeats. They concede on average about 2 goals a game. Liverpool score on average almost 4 goals a game at home. So just going from the stats, I'll go for a home win. So next up we have Bournemouth. This is a 3 o'clock, around the 3 o'clock kickoffs. We have Bournemouth versus Watford. Bournemouth's home form are what's keeping them up in mid-table. They've played 10 home games and they've won 5 of them, although their form recently hasn't been that great. Last week? Well, they went out of the cup and to tell you the truth, I can't really remember last week's fixtures. I was that sick. But Watford last week drew 0-0 against Middlesbrough in a very emotional game for them after the death of their former England manager, Graham Taylor. So Watford are currently, they're 7 points off the relegation zone, but they're down in 14th place and they don't really want to get dragged down any further into a relegation fight. They don't score many goals. They've played 21 games this season and they've scored 23 goals. So I think I'll go for a draw here. Normally I'd go for a Bournemouth home win, but I think this will be a draw. I think it'll be a tight game, probably a 0-0. What do you say? It'll be 6-6. Anyway, next up we have Crystal Palace. By the way, as you know from my previous videos, these are all generally soft-spoken, but I will probably slip into whispering just because, as I say, my voice is so bad. So Palace versus Everton. Palace got their first win during the week there in the FA Cup, the first win under Fat Sam. They're currently 1 place outside the relegation zone, but that's just on goal difference. So they're currently 17. Their home form is terrible. Sorry, I'm just trying not to cough here. They have 10 home games, 2 wins, a draw, and 7 defeats, which is pretty shocking. But then again, they've lost 7 games at home, but only have a -2 goal difference at home. Everton had a good win last week when they beat Man City, so they have to take confidence into that game. Their away form isn't that great. 3 wins, 2 draws, 5 defeats. But that big win last week could give them the boost they need to get a positive result from this. So I will go for an away win. Next up we have Middlesbrough versus West Ham. Middlesbrough are just ticking along, staying outside the relegation zone, mostly because the teams below them are just that bad. Their main problem all season has been scoring goals. 21 games, they've scored 17. Now they've only conceded 22, but they're going to have to get more goals. They're just past the halfway point and they have 20 points. You know how the teams always talk about reaching 40 points for safety. So, as I say, Middlesbrough's home form, they've played 10, 3 wins, 2 draws, 5 defeats, -1 goal difference. West Ham, with all the unrest the last week or so with Dimitri Payet, whether or not he'll come back and play for them again. I can't see him coming back in the next 2 days or making peace with the club. Their away form isn't that great. They played 10 games, won 2, drew 2, lost 6. -5 goal difference in 10 games. But you know what? I think they played well last week. They won 3-0, I think. Can't remember who against. As I say, normally, well, from now on I'll have next video and I'll be better prepared, but as I say, I missed a lot of the football the weekend just because I was so sick. And that's the last time I mentioned that. And so, but I think West Ham will be able to overcome, and they'll show Dimitri Payet that they just don't need him. So next up we have Stoke versus Man United. And the first thing that's popped into my head as I wrote this is that Stoke will never win because Mark Hughes can never beat Man United. I don't know the stat to prove that. I just know that Mark Hughes never does well against Man United because he was a former player there. I know my dad used to say that he never tried too hard. Like the likes of the former Man United players who are now managers, the likes of Steve Bruce and what do you call him? Mark Hughes and what do you call the other fella? Doesn't really manage anymore. Brian Robson and Roy Keane. Well, Roy Keane was just useless anyway as a manager, not a player. And anyway, enough waffling. Stoke are currently in 9th. Pretty decent home form. 4 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats, with a 0 goal difference. Man United drew last week at home to Liverpool. They draw a lot of games at home, but United do well away. I think this will probably be a tight game. Stoke are doing well. I can see United nicking it by 1 goal, maybe 1-0 or 2-1. So I'm going to go for another away win. But of course I hope Stoke wins 6-0. Next up we have West Brom versus Sunderland. Sunderland are just doing so bad this season. I know it's been a perennial thing the last few years for Sunderland to struggle, but this season they're doing really badly. Whenever you consider that they've in 21 games scored 20 goals and Jermaine Defoe scored 11 of them, this shows how much they depend on that one player. West Brom are doing well this season. They're up in 8th place. They had bad luck last week. Never they got beat with an own goal. But their home form's pretty decent. 5 wins, 2 draws, 3 defeats. Plus 5 goal difference. So they tend to score on average 2 goals a game at home. And Sunderland tend to get thumped away from home. Their away record is 10 games, 1 win, 1 draw, 8 defeats, which is joint second worst in the division. Actually, no, tell a lie, joint third worst. I've just seen Burnley, so I think this will be a pretty straightforward home win for West Brom. I was going to write West Brom there. Home win. Okay, next up we have the evening kickoff on Saturday, which is a big game. It's Man City versus Tottenham. Spurs have been doing very well recently. They had that big win a couple of weeks ago against Chelsea. Spurs are currently, as I talk, they are second in the table. They're 7 points behind Chelsea. Their away form is okay. It's kind of average really. It's 4 wins, 4 draws, 2 defeats. But they have scored plenty of goals. Good healthy goal difference away from home, +9. Man City, what can I say? They're 5th outside of the Champions League places. Guardiola is really seeing his sort of air of invincibility that he had at Barcelona and Bayern Munich really come under fire this season. Is it the manager or is it just stretch? But then again, whenever you spend $500 million on a team in about 5 years, can you really blame the players? Man City are doing kind of okay at the minute. I mean, like, they're not obviously being down in 5th, they're not doing fantastically well. They've got a pretty solid home record, 6 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat. They score roughly 2 goals a game at home, and Tottenham score just about 2 goals a game away. So I'm gonna go for a score draw here and say it'll probably be about a 2-2 draw. So there you go. Next up we come to Sunday's games, which is the 22nd. So let's just move this up here. So the first game on Sunday is an early kickoff. Southampton versus Leicester. And Southampton had lost 4 in a row prior to going into 4 league games in a row. They beat Liverpool in the League Cup semi-final a couple of weeks ago, and then this week they beat they beat Norwich in the FA Cup replay. So they've won those 2 home games, but they're currently down in 13th, which is actually a surprise. I didn't realise just how far down they'd gone. But I suppose, considering how tight the middle of the division is, if you lose 4 games in a row, it's really going to have an effect. Their home form is 4-3-3 from 10 games. Leicester's away form is from 10 games, 3 draws, 7 defeats. If Southampton were playing the way they normally played, or as how you might think they played the last few years, and the way Leicester's been playing recently, you'd normally go for an easy home win. But with Southampton's run of form and the fact that early kickoffs on a Sunday tend not to be great games, I'm going to go for a draw and predict that's going to be 0-0. Next up, we have on Sunday Arsenal versus Burnley. Well, as I said earlier, I saw Burnley's away form. Burnley's away form is 9 games, drew 1, lost 8, and from 9 games they've got a -17 goal difference. So you'd almost say, does it really matter what Arsenal's form's like? Arsenal are currently 4th. It's very tight between 2nd and 5th. You've got Spurs in 45, Liverpool 45, Arsenal 44. So depending upon how results go, obviously on Saturday, a win for Arsenal could take them up as high as 2nd. They've got a good home form, 7 wins, 2 draws, 1 defeat, plus 11 goal difference. They have been a bit shaky of late, but you can't really argue against Burnley's very poor away form. So we'll go for a simple home win there. And finally, on Sunday, we have Chelsea versus Hull. Chelsea top. Home form, 9 wins, 1 defeat. Not 1 defeat, it was very early in the season. Whenever Liverpool beat them. Hull are 3rd bottom, but could be possibly by the time Saturday's games are over, they could be bottom again. But that would mean that Liverpool don't win, so we won't think about that. Chelsea, they're a bit at war with themselves with the whole Diego Costa thing. Wanting to move to China because he wants 100 bajillion pounds a week, which is the average weekly wage at the minute for footballers in China. Because he's not earning enough at Chelsea. But they had a good win last week without him. Marcus Asensio sort of showed that he can take his place. I think this is a bit like Arsenal Burnley. Chelsea Hull is as much a banker for a home win as you're hardly likely to see. You're ever likely to see. And that's all 10 games. I scrolled ahead on my app to Monday, and there's a friendly between Uzbekistan and Georgia. Your homework for tonight is to look at the map and find where Uzbekistan is. But I'm going to go for a home win. Anyway, okay, that's all for now. There'll be a few cuts in this video because there was a few times where my voice did go. Anyhow, I'll be back next week to check out how I did, and cheery bye.